Let's go, let's go, let's go. Welcome back to another episode of the Hold That Show. This is 433. We're back with another. It's Abdallah Yini. Um, a good weekend for me. Um, my team won just, but we'll talk about that and many more games. But I'm gonna let my co-host introduce himself.
Yeah, man, you know what it is, you know who it is. It's obviously Luke. Obviously, we dominated our game to a point where we were breaking so many stats. I didn't even see what the total shots was in the end. Um, but the expected goals broke history in terms of 7.2. That's a madness. You only see them things on potentially FIFA, bruv. That's how dominant we were. Frustrating game, but ultimately, 3 points at the top don't really mean anything because evidently we're five away from Man City, but Man City will obviously be charging. I'm happy to see a Liverpool and City title race again. But ultimately, as a, um, a realist in terms of Liverpool fan, I don't actually see us winning the league, and I will explain why when we talk about my team. So yeah.
Yeah, but we'll start off with my game. Yeah, to be honest, a very good start. Cole Palmer with a lovely finish. To begin with, nice slotted shot into the corner, and then another a great piece of play. To be honest, attacking down the left, then it works its way to Madweki, who touch and finish. That's what more of what we need. To be honest, I think we haven't seen enough of that from Chelsea's attackers, and that was good to see. And then the third goal was just outstanding play all around. Thiago Silva into Jackson, good hold up play, spins the corner, a lovely weighted pass into Palmer, and Palmer he just did the rest, taking down the keeper, a couple defenders, and slots it in. I think for like 75, 80 minutes we were dominant. We dominated the game. We dominated everything in terms of how we played, the goals we scored. But then it was let down by the last 15 minutes. And the reality is for me, I think is the major thing that we've had been having trouble with this season is heading and anything in the air. For such a tall centre back partnership in likes of Silva to Sassy and the centre backs we have, we were being beaten by a bunch of crosses. Their number 45, I don't know his name, but he was just whipping them in, cross after cross after cross, and
Benny.
yeah, him after cross after cross after cross. It felt like we were playing Prime Trent and Prime Robertson the way their man were crossing it in. And towards the end, we nearly let the lead slip. They got two goals from just crossing situations. But apart from that defensive slap towards the end, I think overall we controlled the game. But I still believe that the manager needs to do more to control the game and see out a 3-0 because you can't just allow a team to come back in that easily. And a better team would have beaten us in the day or even got a point out of that game. So good to get the 3 points, but yeah. And also, I'd like to know what you think about Cole Palmer and in compared to the other youngsters in the league and how you feel about him as a player.
Yeah, well, I'll start off with the match. Like for me, there was two standout performance. One of them is a baller that I've been talking about for a while now, Madueke. It's there's no coincidence that since he's been starting, he's been one of your best players, and he was one of your best players in that game. Yeah, everything on that right hand side, he was threatening. Luton couldn't handle him. They didn't understand him, his trickery, his ability to just beat his man, his pace, his power, his decision making. Again, like you could be the most brilliant winger, when it comes to beating your ones, but outside of beating your ones, you need to understand that the decision making has to be on a 9 or has to be on a 10, and he's got that in abundance at such a young age. And I feel like, as I said in the last few pods now, if he had started, I know he's been injured, but I think for me, if he was starting on that right, things potentially could have been a bit different because with the other guys in those positions, it's just been very lethargic. No one's willing to beat their man. Nobody's willing to do the traditional winger stuff. And he's doing it. And I watched the game, man. He was sensational. Like I had a smile on my face when I was watching him play because he should be playing. Like he should have been playing. And every time when he's on that pitch, you can tell he's putting his middle finger up secretly to Potts, saying, "Play, you should have played me." You know what I mean? And again, I can't
Yeah.
say enough as I've already said about Cole Palmer. I've already said he should be in a 10 because the creativity that he has, the ability to run the show from deep, be on the half turn, always looking for runners out wide in the wings, through the middle, he was dangerous. Again, he was along with Madueke your best attacking talent, your best attacking player in that match. And I think if you compare him to the other ballers like Jude Bellingham, etc., obviously he's not on the same level as Jude Bellingham, but I think for me he's cold, like he's wavy. And I think if I was Gareth Southgate, which we all know he's not going to do it anyway, but if I was Gareth Southgate, I'll be looking at guys like a Ross Barkley who also performed in that game, and he's been performing in a good few weeks now. And I'd look at Cole Palmer, guys that will offer creativity, which is what England are lacking every single international tournament. So I'd be looking at Cole Palmer. I think he's so wavy. The best years are ahead of him for sure. And I think if you continue on playing him in his natural position, he'll ball out. But back to the match though, I think yeah, like Chelsea was phenomenal. I think again, like as I said, the two guys that I've just mentioned was your best highlight throughout that whole game. Everything ran through them. They ran the show. They performed well. And it didn't really matter if Nicholas Jackson wasn't on form. Ultimately, obviously, he did play well in the link up plays and in the playmaking aspect, but I just think it didn't really matter because you had two guys that were on the pitch and they were hungry and they wanted to win the game for Chelsea, and you saw that. It was just unfortunate for Luton in a sense where I think if Luton actually played um, the crossing game plan earlier, then we probably would be sitting there looking at maybe a point or even a loss because when they started to float those crosses in, your defense was not winning the first ball, the second ball. They did not know what to do. And it's embarrassing to be honest because Desassi is a wham mute. Guys like Badashiles, they're wham mutes. Like you guys are tall guys, bruv. 6'4", 6'3" guys. Yeah, and they're getting bullied. Not to say that Adebayo and Morrison ain't tall, like they're tall guys as well. Like Adebayo is like 6'3", 6'4". Morrison is around the same height. But for me, like your defenders should be able to get hold of that. They're big, they're wham, they're strong. They should be able to be in the box handling Adebayo. But they just didn't know what to do. The communication wasn't there. No one was willing to pick up one player. Um, and ultimately it just led to them scoring those two goals. And as I reiterate again, like if they played that game plan from the beginning, we wouldn't be sitting here saying Chelsea won because they didn't have a clue. So and you know what, fair play to Luton because for me, like they might go down at this precise moment, they're a point behind the next team. They still might go down, but they're giving it a real good goal. And they're going into these games. They pushed Man City, they pushed Liverpool, they push Arsenal, they push Chelsea. Like they're pushing all these big teams to the limit, and they're really going for it. Whether it's a point, whether it's a dub, whether it's a loss. And I think for me, Luton should be proud of like the efforts that they're going into each game. No one should question their heart. No one should question their work rate in these matches because they're fighting for their manager, and it's good to see that they did that. But ultimately, yeah, I think for Chelsea, if I was Pochettino and I saw that, we're getting beat like this in the air, I'd probably switch to a back three and get
Mm.
more centre backs in there. The likes of having Badashile, Colwell, and the Sassy in there. Like again. strong guys, an extra body in the centre back would potentially help alleviate the pressure of the first ball miss, the second ball miss, the third ball miss. At least you got that person to cover and assist with those two. That's probably what I would have done. If I saw that that was going to be the issue. But again, as I said in the last few episodes, I'm not a manager. I'm not managing a football club. I'm just potentially speaking facts in terms of what I would do and what I see. I don't know about you, Marju, if you agreed, but that's probably what I would have done. And yeah, that's all I gotta say.
I think we did do that. We brought in that young guy, the Alfie, to play wing back, and then we moved the Colwell to one of the centre back positions. But I still think we were still losing that battle even when he came in. And I think it was also too late, the changes he made towards the. As soon as they scored that first goal from the headers, and you saw that that was the route they were going to, he should have made the change to the five at the back. So I feel like he's very reactive, not proactive in the way he moves. So I think that's why you get the stat with Chelsea. I'm gonna say this every week. At halftime, we're never losing. At halftime, we're never losing a game. So the manager is the one that has to dictate how the second half goes, because he has half time to put out the game plan, and he has to make the subs at the right time. And I think with Poch, he's still very naive when it comes to making the subs at the right time and taking long to make those subs. Because if he put on the Alfie kid even like 12 minutes earlier, we could have saw out that game 3-1 easily with five out the back, because that was the issue. All they were doing was whipping in crosses. So all we needed to do is move our team wider and just stop them crossing. And we never really did that until the end, until it's until they're bearing down on us. And you even saw Thiago Silva standing there at the end with a pissed off face at the end, because he knew that kind of stuff shouldn't happen. You shouldn't be cruising 3-0 and then allow a team to come back 3-2. You shouldn't allow that to happen. And you saw he even shoved the camera out the way. He said, camera move," because of how annoyed he was. Man was doing the like he lost the game, and to be honest, that's the kind of mentality I like. Always wants to keep the sheets clean, and that's the kind of defenders I want. I want them always to keep the sheet clean. So, but we move on to your game, and I would say with Liverpool's game, it was a frustrating watch, in the sense of you had a lot of chances, but you weren't taking them, and especially in the first half, um, you had everything. You had penalty, you had every kind of opportunity you wanted in that first half to score, and you didn't. And for me, I don't think this is a 4-2 game at all. This is a 7-0 dropping. That's what it should have been. Newcastle weren't in it at all. Um, Two moments where you let it slip is what they scored with. Obviously, you get your first goal, but then the problem I had with the first goal you conceded is Van Dijk should have never stuck with the runner. If he just held his line, Isaac would have been offside. Even Gary Neville said it I think Carragher said it at the time. If he just held his line, Isaac would have been offside, and that goal wouldn't have happened. So their Newcastle's first goal for me should have never happened. And then even their second goal, in terms of just the poor defending for it, and allowing for them to have a chance, because I feel like by the time they scored their first and second, you should have been lights years ahead of them, because the amount of chances you made, your attackers were not clinical enough in, and the thing is, it's gonna be interesting to see how your players step up without Salah, because you did it last time in Afcon when you lost Salah and Mane, and your players stepped up, because they need to step up, because everything that you had positive that game was going through him. He assisted one, he scored twice. The second was a penalty, and even he had the pre-assist for the other goal as well, where he passed it off, and then nice easy tapping for Gakpo. But overall, I think you were just dominant. I think it was your game to lose, and a lot of people are upset with that second penalty. I mean, he did get tackled. It was a slight touch, and Jota, come on, you should be. I'm thankful that you didn't score, because obviously you're on Luke's fantasy. So Salah got the goal. So yeah, more points for me. Hold that, Luke. But yeah, um, uh, apart from that, really, I think it was just an overall dominant display by Liverpool going into the cup games, and yeah, nice at the top. It's not over yet, as you said. City are the Blue Sharks are coming down, but it's just looking like, as I said at the start of the season, between you and City for the title. We're going to talk about Arsenal, another team that was involved, but they seem to be going by the wayside. But Liverpool are showing their credentials in terms of the way they're playing and the attacking intent they show. So I've liked the game overall, but I just think they need to be a bit more clinical. But what do you think about that, Luke?
Yeah, I think for me, if you're going to be in a title race, you need to be able to kill off teams. Jurgen Klopp's been saying this for a while now. Like the performances are there, and that performance right there epitomizes Liverpool season as a whole. In a sense where Liverpool are better than the teams in the Premier League right now. We are. Even Man City, we're better than them. 100%. No one can tell me otherwise. You can't create 18 shots, 18 chances in a first half, and you can't come out at 7.2 expected goals. Man City couldn't do that. So no one can tell me that we're not better than them. We're the next best team to challenge them. And we're doing this without a proper six, without a proper centre back, with a full back that decides when he wants to defend, without a solid number nine. We're doing that with the amount of injuries that we still have as well, without a proper left back. We're doing that. No one can tell me otherwise that we're not better than anybody in this league. But the only team that's going to stop us from winning the league is Liverpool, not Man City. Liverpool, because of these chances. You can't go in 30, 18 shots in the first half and not score one. That's ludicrous. And I'm happy that Jurgen Klopp took off Nunes. I was disappointed that he took off Diaz because outside of the one guy that I'm going to talk about who was my man of the match, Diaz would have been my man of the match because he was stone cold. That was the old Luis Diaz that we knew. 1v1s, skills, everything. He tried to make everything happen in that game. Whereas Darwin Nunes, yeah, in attacking point of view, he was always in the right positions. That's what you need as a striker. If you're not scoring goals, then you need to be in the right positions. Unlike Gabriel Jesus, you need to be in the right positions. You need to be causing a threat off the shoulder, running in the channels. He does that. So, okay, cool. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt of that. But your number one job is to score goals. And the fact that you still, after 18 months, don't know that when you're in that 1v1 situation that you was in, to actually round the keeper. You're South American, bro. Use your flair. How is it that Diego Jota was able to round the keeper? FYI, you should have scored Diego Jota, so I'm pissed off that you didn't score there because that was an open goal. You didn't even need to do a dive like that. And yeah, you had a little bit of contact, but for me, that was a dive. I'm not even gonna lie. That's a Liverpool fan saying that. But thank you anyway because you gave me fantasy football points, so it is what it is. But Darwin Nunes, you should have rounded that goalkeeper, and you didn't. And again, it just goes to show you that you're never going to be trusted in a 1v1 situation. And Jurgen Klopp, rightfully so, took you off and put a real gunman on, which is Diego Jota. It's no coincidence that when he came on, things started to flow a bit better. Cody Gakpo was always in the right positions, causing problems. That was probably the best Liverpool for performance that I have seen in a very long time. We were on point in every single aspect. Even regardless of the conceded goals, we were still on point. It didn't really matter because we knew that ultimately Liverpool was still going to score anyway. It was a fantastic game. But for me, my man of the match was Curtis Jones. He he has been amazing on the ball and off the ball. He was amazing that game. If you watched his performance from start to finish, yeah, we could talk about Salah creating, but none of these opportunities wouldn't have happened from him. Curtis Jones was a press magnet. He won the ball back. He was dominant. He always looked up on the half turn, always looking at the channels, always trying to make everything happen. He was on form that game. So fair play to him because for the last few weeks he's actually been delivering. And I've been his biggest detractors. I've always said he's not good enough. But this season, since coming back off of that Euros under 21, he's actually been performing very, very well. And I'm not ashamed to hold my hand up and say, I was wrong in my comments, etc. when it comes to football. So for me, like he's actually been phenomenal, and there's not really any pundits or anyone actually singing his praises. He's going under the radar, but I'm noticing your performance, bro, and you're doing well. Endo was phenomenal again. Always winning a challenge, always getting stuck in, and he really is starting to come of age in the role. And for me, like Jurgen Klopp seen something that us fans didn't see because everyone laughed and thought, "Oh, this guy's not gonna hack it. He's 30 years old. He's not gonna hack it." But again, Jurgen Klopp, as always, mastermind. He picked an unknown guy, bedded him in, tried to get him to adapt to the style. Slowly but surely, my man's now becoming one of our best players. And there's a stat with him and a stat without him, and the stat with him has been far greater than the stat without him. And he's been doing well. And it's going to be interesting to see the likes of McAllister, who actually isn't a six, although he was brilliant in terms of his assist to Diego Jota when he rounded the keeper. But it's going to be interesting to see how Liverpool fare without Endo now and without Salah because yeah, like players do need to step up. Like I don't fear anything to be fair because Harvey Elliott, who's been on form, I reckon he'll just slot in that right wing position because that is his natural position. And then again with Endo gone, McAllister will be there, but it just means that certain guys in midfield need to step up. Sloboslai hasn't been the same in his since his first few weeks into the team. Maybe it's because we're overrunning him. Maybe again it's the wrong tactic that we're asking him to do. He should be focusing more on the creative aspect instead of the endurance aspect. But I think certain guys like him and Gravenberch needs to step up and alleviate the pressure off of McAllister because what we don't want is for when McAllister was in a six for players to just run past him like he's not there because it's happened before. So yeah, we just need certain guys to step up. Obviously, when Salah was gone before, it didn't really matter because we did well without him. So I expect us to do exactly the same. But again, I'll sit here again. I don't expect us to win the league, and I don't think we will win the league. Just from the basis of us falling short in certain areas and not having a solid number nine to finish and take chances when we are very dominant, and that is a key sign. You need a number nine to slot and take in those chances because for me that match should have been 7-0, 7-2, 8-2, 9-2. It should have been all types of double digits with how dominant we were, and it just didn't happen. And the difference between Liverpool and Man City is Man City do take their chances, they do, and we ultimately don't. So yeah, I don't expect us to win. I do expect Man City to go on a full charge and evidently or um go above us. But I might be wrong. I might sit back here when it comes to me. We're top of the table again, and I might be like, you know what? Okay, cool. I hold up my hands again. We won the league, fair play. Like that's brilliant stuff. But ultimately, I stand by my decision. Yeah, it's going to be a decent title race, and it's going to be a close call as always when it comes to a Liverpool City battle. But ultimately, it's only going to be one winner, and it's going to be Man City. But yeah, it was a fantastic game from my point of view, anyway. And it was great to watch as well as equally frustrating. But yeah, man, as I said, Curtis Jones, fair play. Endo, well done. Luis Diaz, fantastic to see you back to your best. Oh, and Joe Gomez as well. He's done fantastically well at left back to be in a position to play right back, centre back, left back, and still continue on the form that he's in right now. My man is moving like James Milner. He's doing fantastically well at that left back role. I don't want him there permanently, but as a short term fix, he's acting like we actually don't need the left back. So it's good to see that he's delivering again and he's back to his best. Because it was sad to see people were obviously counting him out. I was as well since after his injury, but he's definitely proven everyone wrong. So it's good to see him back to his best. But yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, no, it's good to see Joe Gomez back. Obviously, January's upon us, so obviously there's time to add a few players in if necessary. But yeah, good performance by Liverpool. But we move on. We're gonna talk about our games of the day. We got we got two teams that we like to talk about. You know what? I'm gonna leave your game second. I'm gonna talk about my game because you know what? I can't wait. I just can't wait. You know, normally I'm patient. You know, leave it to the end. But Asna, we're back again. Another London and Derby. Another Los. This time in West London. You went to Fulham. You went to West London, and man, you made William look like Ronaldinho out there. you made, you brought back big 4-5 Wilby. Jimenez was rolling back the years the way he was playing. Man was out there doing Rabonas and that light work. And for me, I think with this game, the reason why I look at this game is back to back losses for the Arsenal, but I think it's more to do with how they've lost something compared to last season in terms of their attack, in terms of the way they played. And I think they aren't the same team. And even with Havertz playing in this game, their midfield isn't just the same as it was last season. Xhaka and Partey are big misses, and you can see it in terms of the way they are lacking that creativity, lacking that kind of bite going forwards, lacking the passing that Xhaka was providing last season. He was breaking the lines when the likes of Odegaard wasn't doing that, and because there's so much pressure on Odegaard to create, and there's not much creativity elsewhere, you could see that there's just a very lackluster way in the way they move. They get their goal early on, brilliant finish from, well, not a brilliant finish, but you know, a quick tap in from Saka off the shot, and you're thinking, okay, this is going to be a long day for Fulham. They're gonna lose this. Arsenal gonna turn up, you know, come back after the loss. But Fulham had other ideas. They had other plans. And off a corner, quick counter attack down that left wing, Woodham straight into Jimenez, 1-1. And you're thinking to yourself, okay, it's 1-1 now. Arsenal still got chances in this. But their former centre back, Mavropanos, he had other ideas too. A nice little corner, bullet head onto the top of the bar, goes in 2-1. And then from there, you never really saw Arsenal look like they were going to score. And for me, I think these back-to-back losses aren't things that they can afford. They went from top at Christmas to fourth, just like that, behind Aston Villa, the team that they're supposed to be competing with on the same points as them with a game in hand, Man City. The Blue Sharks didn't even have to do much. You did it to yourself. The Blue Sharks didn't even have to. They didn't even have to get Haaland and De Bruyne from the chamber. They ain't even back yet. You know, they're still living it up. You know, they're hitting the reps. You see, De Bruyne has a new hairstyle. Haaland's gonna be back soon. It's I ain't gonna lie. It's gonna be long for the league when them two men are back. I ain't gonna lie. Klopp said it best. De Bruyne's back and the world is shaking. That's what's happening right now. The whole league is just looking around like De Bruyne, De Bruyne. But Arsenal already got. The ghost of De Bruyne got them because that's what's been happening. And and let's talk about their defense as well. Their left back and right backs terrible. Their centre back partnership. The thing about Arsenal is the issue is that they talk too much before anything's happened. They talk like they are the team that's won back to back leagues. They are the team that are winning these tournaments, these trophies.
Yeah.
They they link their players to the likes of they say Saliba over Van Dijk. They say Odegaard over De Bruyne. They say these dumb things on Twitter and other apps, and then when you realize your team isn't just that, and I think this summer was probably one of the worst windows you've had in recent memory because outside of Declan Rice, it's unfortunate with what happened to Timber, but you didn't. You had time. You didn't replace him. And Havertz, oh, what a waste of 65 million when you could have got the like of Kudos, when you could have got the likes of James Madison, when you could have got actual creative talents into your midfield to add a spark. When Wodegaard ain't doing it, Gibraltar guard, you know, only in the small teams against the small teams he turns up. But Odegaard's been missing recently, and your star boy Saka, I don't know where he's gone. Ever since he put that blonde stuff on his hair, that mustard on his hairstyle, I don't know what's been happening. I don't know whose barber he went to. He probably went to the Pogba barber, but yeah, no, change up the look, go back to all black, cause it didn't power you up, it powered you down. That's what your hairstyle did. I didn't get no boosts from that hairstyle. No plus one on the finish. Then oh, because ever since then it's been lackluster. Martinelli, we need to talk about him. I think him and Saka just need to be taken out in the limelight. If you don't trust Reece Nelson, you gotta trust him now. Because you either sell him in January and bring someone else in, or you trust them now and take these players out the limelight and give them a rest because they seem very tired. They seem lackadaisical in terms of the way they're playing football right now. And I feel like there's been a lot of football for Arsenal in recent years with the Champions League as well this season. And it's a new kind of feeling when you're playing all these extra games. And you can see it that they've been very lackluster in the way they've played the last two games. And they just need a refresher. They need a break. They need a Kit Kat. Um, but a terrible loss, back-to-back losses, and I don't know what's happening next. They've got January. They can get an Ivan Tony in, but he might not be the only solution. They need to get a midfielder, and they need to sort out their fullbacks because Ben White and Zinchenko, they're not good enough. They're not good enough as fullbacks, and those are the positions that I feel that Arsenal need to improve. Left side, centre mid, the fullbacks before they even look at the attack. Because without the foundations, the forward line isn't ever going to succeed. And you can see that Martinelli and Saka, they're getting isolated. They're not getting guys to cover them, to overlap them. They're not having that right now, and they need that. They need help. They call it help, help me, I need help, because they're drowning out here in these streets. But Luke, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I just think for me the transfer window pretty much epitomizes Arsenal's journey this season. I think from when you sold your best left back in Kieran Tierney, um, that shows me that you just don't have a Scooby Doo in what you're doing. You allowed Shaka to go without a solid replacement. Yeah, you brought in Declan Rice, but those two are completely different players. Declan Rice is more of a destroyer, um, whereas Xhaka is more of a deep lying playmaker. Um, so then that's where you failed in that department. Then you didn't bring in a centre back. Yeah, you brought in Timber, but Timber's not a centre back. Timber's a right back. My man's 5'11", 5'10". Why are you playing him in centre back? He's a right back. So you didn't bring in a centre back to get rid of, well, not really get rid of Gabriel, but have Gabriel on the bench where whilst you have a solid centre back next to Saliba. Then you decided to drop Aaron Ramsdale. Yeah, Aaron Ramsdale had his flaws, but ultimately you brought in Raya, who is no better than Aaron Ramsdale, so there was never really an upgrade. Then you brought in a striker in Gabriel Jesus, who's openly said that although his role is to score goals, that's not his specialty. He's openly come out and said that. Then you brought in Kai Havertz, who's not a striker, who's not a centre mid. He's actually a cam, but can also play centre forward, so a false nine role. But
Thank you for the
you're not
money.
play you're not playing him in those roles, so you essentially wasted 65 mil to Chelsea, which they spent well, obviously. Um, and then you brought in Fabio Varela, who needs to go to the gym because he's ultimately too fragile to play in this league. Um, I probably might have missed out one more signing, but I just think for me, like it just didn't make sense. And everyone goes on about, oh, Edu's a genius, Edu's this, but what has Edu actually done for Arsenal apart from overspending on players or going back to Man City players? That's it, Zinchenko. Need to say more? Like for me, there was no strategy, there was no structure. How do you go from being on top of the league or potentially challenging last season, which I said in before to people, Arsenal was not challenging, but everyone was like Arsenal was challenging. No, they weren't. Got put in that position because Liverpool was going through transition with their dead ass midfield. Chelsea was obviously going through their poor run of form with Potter, who shouldn't have even been hired. Um, and obviously Man U was Man U, so they were put in that situation. Um, Ultimately now, like again, Arsenal fortunately managed to get in a position whereby they're top of the table, but ultimately we're starting to see the real Arsenal right now. And that is where Arsenal has fallen short. They got rid of guys that they shouldn't have gotten rid of, or they let guys go that they shouldn't have let go, and then they brought in below average guys to think that they can give them that title push just because they've come in with trophy laden cabinets, but they weren't the actual Don Dadas in the trophy laden teams that they were in. So it to me, Arsenal's digressed and they've regressed and gone backwards. They haven't gone forwards. And you're starting to see now what is the blueprint, what is the playing style that Arsenal play. It's predictable. They go from the back, play out wide, expect their wide men to beat the players when they don't, and then Odegaard has to try find something from deep where he's getting marked out the game. So no one's willing to take the ball from deep and create an opportunity because no one can because they don't have any creators. Then you've got a striker that doesn't even want to score, but then you have another striker in Eddie and Nketiah who's inconsistent and not at Arsenal's level. But then you let a Don Dada baller in Balogun goal, who was the better striker out of Eddie and Nketiah and him, and he proved it when he scored 20 plus goals in League Earn. And I'm not hearing it about League Earn being a shit league. The goals that he scored were Don Dada goals. Why did you not keep him when he's proven that he's a baller, but you sold him to keep Eddie and Nketiah, who hasn't actually proved that he's a baller? He couldn't do it at Leeds in a championship, and he can't do it now. So you let the run striker go. Now you're in a predicament where you have to go out and buy potentially two strikers, but you don't have the piece to do that. And even if you did have the piece to go get Ivan Tony, you're having to splash out another 100 mil like you did for Declan Rice. When you had an actual striker in your ranks, it's just backwards planning, backwards transfers. And for me, if I was Arteta and I was in this situation, yeah, for me, I would start thinking about utilizing all my players. So check this. Gabriel Martinelli is actually a striker. He's not actually a winger. He's a natural striker. Everyone that's followed his career will know that he's a striker. But he's having to force to be played out wide. So with that being said, why are you not putting Gabriel Martinelli through the middle then? Have Emil Smith Rowe out wide on the left. Smith Rowe is not a bad player. He's actually decent. Why are you not putting him there? Take Gabriel Jesus out the lineup. Take Eddie and Nketiah out the lineup. Yeah, it probably still means that Saka might play, but you have Reece Nelson, so maybe put Reece Nelson there. But take some of these guys out or put them in their natural positions, and then you might ball out. Because Gabriel Martinelli is not a bad finisher. He's far better finisher than Gabriel Jesus. Let's be real. So why not put him there as a short-term solution until when you can go out and buy a striker? You don't necessarily have to buy the likes of Ivan Tony or Shemim. You don't have to. There's other decent ballers in different leagues as strikers that you can go out and get. Like there are. Like there's a French baller with the last name Tell. I think it's like Marcus Tell or something like that. He's a baller. There's Sesko at RB Leipzig. There's Vlahovic. There's Moise Keane. There's like bare different Ollie Watkins. Like even Dominic Solanke, fuck it. Like there's guys out there that you don't if you can't afford to get them, man, then you can get these guys. And for me, because Arteta messed up their transfer window, now they're probably in a predicament where, yeah, they do need a striker, but the striker isn't the ultimate solution for them. It's not like I don't know, like Chelsea, for example. Like we know that Chelsea need a striker because the team that they currently have is a decent team. Like, let's be real. Like, they're a decent team. They've got young G's there that's got the potential to be world class. Like, and all the positions is probably fixed. Like, if they played the right formation, they're probably missing a winger, but that could work on itself anyway. But the ideal solution for Chelsea is a striker. Once they get a striker, they go clear. So, boom, that's one solution. But if we look at Arsenal, it's much deeper than that. Even if they got a striker, that papers over the cracks of their fullbacks that they need to get, a centre back that they need to get, a creative midfielder that they need to get, maybe even a winger just to alleviate the burden off of the two wingers that they got. They've got so many positions that they need to rectify. So even if they got a striker, it don't matter. And that's where they fucked up. Because now, instead of using summer window as a solution to go out and build, they've used the summer window to deconstruct their squad. So now it means that they probably need 2 to 3 windows to rectify the squad. So they've gone backwards. So that's the problem that Arsenal's in. And yeah, they could say Arteta out, Arteta out. But even when Arteta does go out, your squad still needs rebuilding. It does. And I'm sick and tired of Arsenal fans screaming Arteta out when you're not expected to win the league anyway. You're not even there. You're not there. Hell, I will say this. Chelsea and United are probably far closer to winning it than Arsenal are. They are. I'm gonna be real. They are.
I don't believe. I don't believe.
No,
Not my
they are.
team.
You could say you don't believe, but with a proper manager managing your team and a striker, you are probably have more of a chance to win the league than Arsenal do. I'm gonna be real. You do. It doesn't even matter about Arteta being in or Arteta being out. It's a far bigger problem. It's your actual squad that we've been talking about since I've been watching football for years. You don't have the minerals. You don't have the P&P. You don't have the leaders. You don't have the creativity. Your defense is lacking. You don't have the striker that's been replaced since Thierry Henry. We've been saying this for 5 to 10 years. When will Arsenal fans understand this? You are not that club anymore. You're not. You're not. Arsenal fans need to understand this. It's rinse and repeat every single season. Oh, we're top of the table. Oh, we're better than this. Oh, Saliba's better than Van Dijk. Where is this proof that he's better? Where? How is Van Dijk at 31 still dunking on Saliba's head after a serious ACL injury? But yet Saliba's better. Why? Because you're top of the table for that minute. And that's what pisses me off about Arsenal fans. They're deluded. They're not realistic. They're deluded. And they've got the new generational fan base that's never watched football in their life. Or the new generational Twitter that's never watched football in their life, and they're looking at stats, GNA, GNA, GNA. They're not looking at the ability, the performance. That's what pisses me off about the fan base nowadays. But I digress. At the end of the day, Arsenal's not going to get where they need to be because they're still in the same transition that they have been because they haven't rectified the positions that they need to rectify. And they will never win the league. They will never win the league. It doesn't matter what manager is there. They will never win the league until they sort out their team properly. That's me.
Nice, nice, nice. And speaking of another delusional fan base, you got your game.
Oh,
So what was the game that you wanted to discuss?
I wanted to discuss Nottingham Forest and Manchester United. Look, at the end of the day, Manchester United players showed character and they showed fight in a sense where if they're on song and they actually want to perform, which technically they did, it was just that Nottingham Forest just wanted it more. For me, Manchester United players evidently created opportunities. They did. We can't say that they didn't because they created opportunities. We can't say that they didn't want to win because they fought back to get it to 1-1. So evidently the willpower mentality is there. But to sustain that and keep that up for a full 90 minutes, that's the big problem at Manchester United is that it's inconsistent. They show fight when they want to show, but then when another team is probably far superior and they feel like they're not going to win the game, then they boy down, and that's the problem. Like Nottingham Forest smelled, they smelled blood. You know, even in the team talk, Morgan Gibbs White said it. They don't want to be here. Look at their faces, because they probably didn't want to be there. And Morgan Gibbs White, um, Elanga again showing up against his former club. You know, Callum Hudson-Odoi, like all of these men were just on song. They performed well. Now, I didn't expect Nuno Espirito Santos to do well because I think he's like too Chalaban. He's a bomb waiting to happen. But ultimately, this is probably his level. This is probably his club. Maybe this might just be a blip in the sense of it's a new manager bounce. It's a first season for him. Maybe the second season he might collapse. Who knows? But for now, they're running with it. They're enjoying their football. We can clearly see Elanga's got a new lease of life and fair play to him because I think for me, when I looked at Elanga when he was at Manchester United, yeah, he probably wasn't at their level at the time, but at least he showed something that their current wingers aren't showing, and that's heart, determination, are willing to be a runner in behind, willing to be a man, willing to do something just to make it work. Yeah, he was a frustrating player, but at least he tried. You know, it wasn't like Marcus Rashford or Anthony, you know, so they let go of the wrong player. But again, as I said, maybe Anthony just wasn't at Manchester United's level. Who knows? But he's doing well at Nottingham Forest, and that's all that matters. He's enjoying his football. But for me, I feel like Manchester United were woeful in defence. I think their midfield was non-existent. It was too easy for them to get beyond them. It was too easy for them to dominate in box with their centre backs. And again, I don't want to talk about Onana because I don't know what he was doing for those first two goals. One of the goals, he just stood there. Um, the whole team just really needs a deconstruction. You know, Anthony's gone into a new calendar year with probably one goal in a Premier League. That is diabolical. For spending 85 mil on a player that's ridiculous. It really is. But do you know what makes me laugh about this whole situation though? When you look at Manchester United players, yeah, because evidently the players that they got weren't dead before they came to Manchester United. They were actually decent players. So when you deep that, if they were to go to a different club, like a Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City, they probably would be decent players. Let's like on the real. If Anthony was to be at Liverpool, for example, he probably would be a decent player. But
I don't think with Anthony though. I just think because he all he does is spin around. To be honest, he's the only
no,
one.
no, I actually think he would be a decent player. I do.
You
I
reckon?
generally yeah, because you don't go from balling out where you were to coming into this league and not balling out. Yeah, I get it. Like there's some foreign players that can't hack it. I get that. I've seen enough of him to know that he actually is a decent player. He just needs the right coaching. There's players that need the right coaching, the right message, the right players around them for them to perform. Right
That
now,
makes
we're
sense.
looking at a Manchester United team where players are underperforming, players are low on confidence, players don't know what to do. There's no structure there. So evidently, you're gonna have players where there's no team cohesion. You're gonna have players that's gonna do their own thing. There's gonna be individualism. There's gonna be all of these aspects going on in the team. We all know that there's a toxicity in Manchester United. We know that. It's no coincidence that Jadon Sancho was balling out in Dortmund the way that he is. He's now
Yeah.
come to Manchester United and he's not balling out. He's non-existent. You can't tell me that a baller like that is no longer a baller anymore. Like it's not possible. It's because of the toxicity that's there. It seeps into you, which means that you're not going to perform at the level that you should do. But I guarantee you, when Jadon Sancho leaves that club and goes somewhere else, he's going to ball out. He will ball out. It's no coincidence that Elanga's balling out at Nottingham Forest. Like people go to certain clubs and they don't ball out and then they end up leaving. Same way with the likes of Kevin De Bruyne at Chelsea. Same way the likes of Mohamed Salah at Chelsea. There's certain players that just don't suit the club or the style. They suit other clubs. So I guarantee if Anthony was at any of our clubs or somewhere else, he probably would be balling out better. But United's just not that style. Anthony's not the type of player to United. We always associate United as a team that plays with wide men and they have to be out wide. Anthony's not that type of player to be out wide. He doesn't really have a right foot. He's a predominant left footer, like a Arnie Robin. He has to cut in. So maybe if he had a fullback like a Reece James that can overlap and allow him to cut in on the left so that he has the space to do it, and then people, the fullbacks or whoever's marking is like, oh shit, Reece James is there, but I need to focus on Anthony because he's cutting in. But then what if he switches it to Reece James for him to overlap? Like that's what needs to happen in order for Anthony to thrive.
Mm.
But he's
Yeah.
not getting that. He's not getting that. So for me, I generally believe, as I said, if he was at Liverpool and he had a Trent, he probably would be balling out. He probably would thrive. Same with if he was at Barcelona or if he was at Real Madrid and he had a decent fullback with him, offering the opportunity to cut in on his left. Like it will be different. It's all about tactics and just the team around you and the players to make you better. The players that are at Manchester United, some of them are not good. So evidently you're gonna look shit. But if he left, he probably would be better. So for me, like the reason why I wanted to talk about this game was just to highlight these points. That like, yeah, United are shocking. Yeah, United are terrible. Yeah, United don't have an ethos or a way of playing, or they probably do. But I just think for me, if certain individuals wasn't in that team and they were in a different team, it would be different. It's just all about right now. United just need to cope with what they've got, and they need to try and just get through this season. Because I think when if Eric Ten Hag was to get sacked and they bring someone in, they really have a deconstruction of this whole squad that needs to happen because certain guys just need to leave because they really are impacting this team and infecting this squad. Guys like Bruno Fernandez, again, bummy performance. Bummy performance, lost the ball more times than actually created and passed. It just goes to show you a guy like him is a luxury player that shouldn't even be in this team. He's a liability. He's a liability. He shouldn't be there. So yeah, bruv. I just think yeah, United. Yes, as funny as it is to see it and great to banter them, they're lucky to be in a position that they're in because naturally they should be where Chelsea are. Let's be real. They're just riding their luck right now. But yeah, fair play to Nottingham Forest. They're climbing up that table. Obviously, I think they're a point ahead of Luton. And yeah, I hope they continue on doing well. But if they don't, they've got ballers that I potentially would be looking at to potentially come into Liverpool. Um, it will be a nice, decent fire sale if they were to go down. But yeah, that's all I gotta say.
You know, I agree with a lot of you said in terms of certain players. Not so much Anthony, maybe I don't know. Maybe just that when once the Man United curse hits you, it maybe looks at a player in a different light. But for me, I think United were never in this game. I think the only reason they scored was because of the goalkeeper Matt Turner, former Arsenal goalkeeper. He is rubbish. I mean, he was shaky with the passing, and I think that what led to United's goal. It was a lovely finish by Rashford, I would say that. But then obviously Forest at the end counter attacked, and Gibbs White, he's a quality player. I think he's a player that is playing at his level right now. But if he continues to play the way he is, he's gonna get a move up because he's a kind of a creative midfielder that a lot of teams would look at. He can score a goal, a lovely finish in the game. But I think Man United's problems is from the top to bottom, and obviously they got Ineos with the 25% and see what they do with that. But yeah, they need a lot of work. They need a DOF. They need a new manager, and they need to get rid of a lot of these bums that they have in their squad before they even become anything close to the Man United of old. But in terms of this game, I just think they weren't good enough. I think they weren't at the races, and as you said, Forest wanted it more, and it's one of just those kind of games where United United have two ways. They either lose or they win. They don't really draw. that's all. That's probably why they're the position they're in. Because they get these lucky 1-0 wins against smaller teams, and and to be honest, you're right. They're riding their luck at the moment, but I don't see a bright future for them at this current stage, and I don't see if Ineos is going to be the ones to take them there because their management of Nice haven't been that great either. So we'll see what they do, but you know, it's going to be a long season for United. I think all they can go from here is down. So we'll see what happens. January is upon us. We'll see what they can do if they because they have no money as well to even spend as well, and Hoyland was out for this game, and you saw the difference without him as well. And I just think a lot of their players are just not on form right now. A lot of their players are just not there, and the midfield is unbalanced. The defense is woeful, and Onana is just not a keeper that you can rely on in a team that isn't keeping the ball. He's a kind of player that needs to be in a team. If he was at Man City, if he was at Liverpool, if he was at a team that retained possession, he'd be perfect. But this United team can't retain nothing. They can barely retain a lead at times. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they go forward. But yeah, man, um, long live their downfall. Hope Man United and Arsenal keep on losing. Yeah, hate, hate, hate. Hold that United. Hold that Arsenal. Um, who else lost this weekend? I don't even know if anyone else. No, all the other big teams won. Even
All
City
the
won.
other teams won,
Yeah, all the other big teams won.
even Tottenham.
Even even Tottenham. They got their win back. They got their leg back after a couple struggles. But yeah, man, it's gonna be a very interesting season. Well, another great episode. We talked about our teams. We're now going into the cup run, so it's basically FA Cup and League Cup matches over the next week or so. So we may have an episode next week talking more about transfers, talking more about what teams need, teams need to buy, rather than the football. Because let's be honest, cup competitions we do not care. I mean, Liverpool got Arsenal, but we do not care. Yeah? If Liverpool win, we clowning Arsenal. If Arsenal win, we do not care. Like we don't. We need you to win a league or a Champions League. We don't care about no FA Cups. You've won enough of those. Yeah. If you ain't the big boys, we do not care. That's what
True.
we're at when it comes to Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City. Them teams there, they got to win the big boy trophies. Yeah. No little man trophies around here. Big boys
True.
only. Leagues and Champions Leagues. Anyway, we move on. That's been the whole that show. This is 433, and we're out. Peace.
Peace.
And Arsenal still soft.
Yeah.